Hello and welcome to WDR TV. It's been about a week or so since the last episode. I'm your host, Mike B. So I thought actually just before, we are like a week away from the big day. Christmas is upon us. But before that happens and I get tied up in stuff that I can't do to do videos and stuff, I thought I'd do a quick catch up and see what's going on in the big wide world of board games. Yes, so we're going to do that. So, what's going on? Well, what we played, some stuff we played. So let's go for that, stuff we've played. So we have played, since we last caught up, we played Jaws. Had a cracking go at Jaws. And we really enjoyed Jaws. Jaws is fantastic, really cracking little straight in the market release board game of a movie I adore. Brilliant stuff, really good. I'll go for a full review at some point on it, but it's got this really cool 2-act structure to the game. It really captures the feel of the movie in a fun, sort of light, entertaining game. Really good, highly recommended. If you're a fan of Jaws, you've seen the movie or anything else like that, cannot recommend it highly enough. Brilliant, track that one down, it's really good, really enjoyed playing that. We also dug up Rebound, 3rd edition Rebound, which I haven't played for ages actually, which is now, I think, kind of dead in the water. Maybe there's anything else coming out for it. But yeah, that was quite enjoyable as well. I hadn't played it for a long time, and it moved much faster than I recall it playing. But yeah, really good, fun little questy adventure game. If you're looking for that sort of one evening and done feel of, you know, a bit of World of Warcraft, that sort of quest chains and go around and solve the puzzles and beating a big boss at the end. It's highly entertaining. It has dice in it, but the main combat is actually done via like pogs almost. You flick. It's a cool little concept. It's an interesting sort of game. I don't think it was that massively embraced when it came out. I mean, there was a bunch of expansions for it, which I've got most of them. But yeah, Rebound was actually refreshingly entertaining, and it didn't take nearly as long as we played it 3 players, one of which wasn't Captain AP, so that may have some bearing on it. But yes, so that was a long affair, right? Other than that, really, what I played a lot of is Nemesis again. We played a couple more games of Nemesis, I think, which invariably ended in death, destruction, and mayhem. It's really growing on me. It's a really solid designed game, really good, really good. So yeah, really enjoyed Nemesis. Pleasantly surprised by that one. It's seen a lot of table time. So that's really, June, we played the reprint of June, which I've not played in anger, I don't think, since somewhere in the 80s maybe. Probably late 80s, maybe early 90s is the last time I played Dune. And that was really good fun. And actually, again, Dune is a game, we only play 4-player, but it's a game what can roll on a bit. But we managed to get that in a couple of hours of a game, even less than a couple of hours. And I had to teach it to 3 of them. And we had Captain AP and Major Mulligan involved in that. So that, all things in considered, really, it went quite well. But yeah, Dune, if you've not played it, it was re-implemented a couple of years ago, probably longer than that now, by FFG with Rex, which is essentially you've got asynchronous races, all different characters from the book. If you've read the Dune book or even seen the movie, it's very much sort of in that galaxy, and that's what has attracted to me. Well, I enjoyed Rex. I really like Dune because I like the story behind that and the characters and the world that is behind the board game of Dune. So I'm always kind of veered towards Dune as being a game that I really dig. Just it works better. But anyway, yes. So you've essentially played one of these, a race or a family or a group, and you're battling over the resources of Dune and the spice on the planet. And it's by the same designers of Cosmic Encounter. So it has this. Everyone starts at a base level, but then each of the different races have a rules that break the rules of the game. They have, and it weighs like that, and it's a really cool little game. It's not a bad reprint. It's pretty well done. It's well presented. It does look very aesthetically like the 80s version TSR version that I remember. I know it has been updated, but there are some weird choices in there with the board design and stuff. But if you're a fan of it or you've never played it, it's fairly inexpensive, really, in the scheme of things to pick up. And I will do a full review at some point. But yeah, really enjoyed my return to Dune. I look forward to what else is to come for that. So there's some games we played. Right, so let's do some news stuff. So First out of the gate is Lord of the Rings, Journeys in Middle-earth, is receiving an app update. So, yes. Cheers. Yes, there's an app update coming out to Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth, which essentially will allow you to take the time off. The issue I had with the game, I did review it a little while ago, is that you were having this constant sort of assault course, a race against the clock, where you couldn't really stop and smell the roses. It was almost seemed directly in conflict with the idea of Lord of the Rings, which was a very ponderous, sort of leisurely, languorous, I think that's a word, stories of kind of these long journeys and kind of mini breakfasts and stuff, and yet the game kind of enforced this sort of move mentality to you. I enjoyed it. I really didn't enjoy that stage of it, and in fact I shifted off my copy of it probably a month or so ago, because I was just like, you know what, I'm not interested in really revisiting that, because I didn't enjoy that core gameplay that app created. Well, of course, Fantasy Flight, being what they are, have decided now to release a update to the app which allows you to play without that ticking clock mechanism in there. So they've essentially fixed the game. So yeah, that app is now, that update is now freely available due to, I'm presuming a lot of people have said the same thing. I know a lot of reviewers came out with the same sort of thing on it. It's an okay game. I still stand that. I mean, even with that on, it would definitely be a better game with that app update, the implementation. I still prefer Mansions of Madness. I think that works much better as a storytelling and almost this puzzly investigation game. Whereas some bits of Journeys I enjoyed. I liked the card play. It was simple card play, but somehow that worked and how you fought. It was at no point an unpleasant experience. I just did not like that pressured, you must do this in this time period. You just constantly, this race was on. So yeah, it could be a better game for that. I won't know, because I'm not buying it again to play that. But there you go. If you're a fan or you own it or whatever, you know, there's something to give a try. So what else has come up? There's been an announcement, is an expansion to Chaos Moss, which is this game here. Now, this was kickstarted, Lordy, 2014. So yes, 5 years ago now, nearly 6. So Chaos Moss, I Kickstarter is available, I believe, to buy it at retail in some capacity. It might be quite cheap actually. It's quite an older game now. It's a very cool little game. Get rid of that over there. They've announced an expansion to it. Essentially, the idea of Chaos Moss is that you're looking for the ovoid, an egg, which is somewhere hidden out in the galaxy, and each of the planets in the galaxy you're playing is represented by an envelope, which have a mix of items in them, and one of them will have the egg in it. And what you're doing is you're playing these various weird alien species, and you go around and you're trying to find the egg somewhere in one of these envelopes. And you can look in these envelopes and you can prime them with traps, and you can take stuff out, put stuff in. It's all kind of secret information. And you're trying to find the egg. What essentially the idea of the game is you've got to be holding the egg at the point the universe ends, because there's a ticking clock going down as the turns roll round, until eventually the point where the universe will implode or explode, or some horrible thing will happen. And the person who has the egg is holding it will survive, and they win the game. But you've got this whole thing of holding the egg early game is a bad idea, because people get wise to it, they'll attack you, they'll steal it off you and all that. So there's this kind of cloak and dagger routine of hiding the egg and no one really knowing who's got it, where it is. It was really enjoyable. I haven't played it for a little while actually, which now they've announced the expansion, and pulling it off the shelf and looking at it makes me think actually I'd quite like to revisit that, because it was quite a fun little game. There is an expansion called The Temple coming out to it. Not much is known at this point. They've kind of, I had an email hit my inbox I think this morning actually. It's going to smooth some of the gameplay elements, add some board in there. I think it's going to kind of just make it a bit easier to get to the table. Some more aliens in there. I think it allows it to play up to 6 now, I think it was. And some other little bits and pieces. So I'll look at that, see what the price of that is, but that's tempted me because I did enjoy Chaos Moss. I haven't played it very much recently, but it's a game that I did like, and it was one of my early backs of Kickstarter. And it was a well-produced game, and it played well, and it was good. So yes, I'm interested to see where that comes along and what comes on with that. Speaking of Dune, Game Force 9's Dune remake, they have just, and I mean literally just, announced an expansion for it. There's going to be 2 new races, the Zyans and the Talaxu. Oh dear. So yes, 2 additional races to add to the game. So in principle, you can play up to 8 players. And these were, I believe, if memory serves me correctly, only ever really released in TSR's own. They had like their own magazine came out, and I think the races were released in there. You could kind of cut them out of the magazine and use them. So yes, there's 2 of them coming out, I think, second quarter of next year. Interesting. They're still doing some bit more for it. I mean, the game, basic game as it stands, is pretty good, pretty decent. I don't think it needs anything added to it, but who can resist? Gale Force 9 are very good at releasing expansions for stuff. If you own a Firefly or any of that sort of stuff, you will know they do love to release an expansion or 2, and they usually do a pretty good job of it. So obviously this is not their design. They've tweaked a little bit from the initial design, and I believe this possibly have tweaked from these early versions of these sort of things. We'll see what crops up. But yes, more Dune is interesting. It's a cracking game. I really enjoy it, as I've said earlier. So yes, more Dune is always good. What else is there? There's Blade Runner 2049 Nexus Protocol. Now, this was on the release schedule for the start of last year, I think, and then it kind of disappeared. It was a WizKids Blade Runner game, and then poof, it was gone. And I presume as the movie didn't set the box office with a light, it probably was buried. But it is now coming out next year. It is so Blade Runner, personally fantastic. Love Blade Runner, and in fact I really enjoyed 2049, the sequel. There isn't a ball game for Blade Runner, or not one that I know of. So one coming out is cool, but it's a hidden identity sort of werewolf resistance blah style of game. You're trying to find the replicant, or are you the replicant? I don't know. My enthusiasm's cooled because we've got many hidden identity games. I don't know what this one could do, which would add a better tweak to it, other than the theming. WizKids are not the strongest in the production department of producing beautifully looking games, let's be honest. I mean, The Expanse is a great game, but it looks ugly as sin. So we'll see. I don't know, I'm not expired, but if you are interested in a Blade Runner game that you should be playing, then I did spot, actually, again in my inbox today, is the Good Old Games, which is a digital platform, it's a PC game, is they've reissued the original Blade Runner game, which was out on PC many years ago. And I think you can get it for about £6, $7, something like that. Fantastic, brilliant game. So if you want a really good Blade Runner game to play over the Christmas period, go to Good Old Games, find that. It's 10% off at the moment anyway. It's under a tenner. Go and get the Blade Runner PC game, because if you like Blade Runner, you'll adore that. If you've never played it, it's a brilliant game. I will be downloading it myself. I do love that. It's a cracking game, really good one. If you've loved the movie, you'll adore that. That is a very good Blade Runner game. I have digressed immensely, but there we go. So that's all of that stuff. Coming up for us is we're hopefully going to be doing a top 10 of 2019. I'm even be gathering some of the Motley Crew and hoping to film that towards the end of the week and get out hopefully before Christmas. That'd be kind of handy, wouldn't it? So we'll be doing that. I've still got my Nemesis Lifeform video to edit and play around with. I did film it. I may be revisiting that because I've subsequently played both games a few more times since, so just want to firm up my opinions on that one. But yes, that's coming, and no doubt I'm looking past the camera at the pile of games up there that I haven't even opened or reviewed or anything yet, so there's more stuff to come. So yes, it's Christmas, it's nearly upon us. I will be playing some games hopefully over the Christmas festive period, maybe even get some, put some on my list, who knows. Enjoy yourselves. If we don't get in touch before then, have a lovely Christmas. Enjoy yourself. We'll be back after that, if not before. Yes, I think that just about sums us up. Ta-ta!
Wow.